Hello and welcome. I'm just gonna get the two things that are crazy out of the way first. One, the giant laptop reflection in my glasses. Just pretend I'm Gojo. This is my lighting in my room because it's either this or the giant ceiling light above my head, and it is so ugly. I cannot describe to you the sinister lighting that it gives off. Number two, I am recording my audio with a 7-year-old iPad. So please enjoy Upside Down, Levi, Edward, Megami, and the Twilight characters, and Totoro. So genuinely for about like 2 years now, I have been just kind of hating TikTok as like a consumer, but also like in ways as a creator. And I've decided to leave for lots of reasons. So I went in my journal and I was like, let me write all my thoughts out about this, because I've written about it so many times, and it's like one of those things where like you always say you're gonna leave something and you have all these reasons and they're really great reasons, and then you come back to it. Which applies to so many things in life, but TikTok is like one of those things, and it's like you can have such an addiction to it that it just blinds you and like pulls you back each time, and you end up like not treating yourself with respect because it's something that you want to do for yourself, but it's hard to leave it. There's so many things that grab onto your brain chemistry, and like they just have it in a hook, and like it's so hard to get off of that hook. That all being said, if you see me on TikTok in the next 6 months, mind your business. Okay, let's get started. This is all just about me. I'm just making a video about what is affecting me. That's why I'm reading from my diary. Whoa, chill. That's why I'm reading from my diary. Like, I'm not gonna cover all the wonderful things about TikTok because there are so many wonderful things. People get their livelihood on TikTok. It's incredible. Like, lives have changed because of TikTok. The knowledge that's available. There's so many good things about it. I'm not talking about them in this video because this is specifically about why I'm leaving it. Okay, now that we have that covered, let's just dive in. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have 9 reasons that I'm deleting. And then I have the problem of resistance at the end of the 9 things, which is, I guess, just kind of like my own examination of why I find it so hard to leave the app and why I've gone back so many times over the years. Okay, here we go. Number 1, what the fuck is wrong with my attention span? What is wrong with it? Literally ever since social media came out, but like specifically TikTok made it so much worse. My attention span is like seconds long. The thought of like engaging with a passion, for example, my passion is writing. The thought of sitting down for an hour, obviously there's like micro breaks that you would take, but sitting down for an hour, the thought of that hurts my brain. Like, there's so much resistance in it. Like, it's just pushing it away. It's like, don't even think about making me do that. No, because it just wants that like next dopamine hit. It's like, okay, are we gonna get like a little tidbit of dopamine release every 10 seconds from this, or like what's the game plan? And I'm like, no, like you're gonna sit for 30 minutes and you're gonna like write because this is something that your heart wants and your soul, and you wanted to do this since you were literally a child, and it's like everything to you, and it makes you so happy, and you get so much fulfillment out of it, and you're just gonna sit and you're gonna think and you're gonna write. And my brain's like, oh no. So that's really great, and it's actually so fucking terrifying that it makes me want to throw my phone in an incinerator. Number 2, I can't remember 10 TikToks off the top of my head that stayed with me. This is so unserious. I'll save stuff to collections and then never go back to them. Why? Because deep down I know that those things I'm saving are not important. The second point is me just mainly understanding that like there's so much that I could be doing that isn't watching TikTok that would stay with me for years and years and would be like these impactful, beautiful memories that have to do with friends, that have to do with something I love to do, the outdoors, something that I would laugh at and I'll always like remember that joke. There's just like so many little things, and it freaks me out that I'm watching something that I'm not gonna remember. I think I can remember like a few edits off the top of my head that were like so amazing that they're just in my brain, like, but I'm not gonna remember those in a year, sadly. And there have been so many videos that have been like so helpful to me that have like certain tidbits of knowledge or like things that have to do with self-improvement and recipes, like here and there, stuff like that. And in the moment, it's important to me, but I'm gonna be so real, I forget about it really quickly. Like, even if I save it to a collection, I don't really go through and like rewatch stuff. And I know a lot of people do, but I just personally don't. Like, I always just go to my For You page. I think the only thing I rewatch are like a few funny TikToks in my like funny folder, and that's about it. So like, knowing that I'm just not gonna remember any of this, and that in the future, like knowing that I could be recalling things that make me happy to recall in the future, and I'm not doing that actually, like I'm not making those memories right now, makes me sad. I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Anyway, okay, hopefully that made sense. Okay, number 3, brains are not in any capacity meant to go through the emotional whiplash of the For You page. I'm gonna use a really specific example right now. The nostalgia slideshows. Let me paint you a picture. A 2000s classroom in perfect condition. Everything is exactly how you remember it. A morning on Christmas in 2008 that you'll never be able to go back to. A mourning dove calling out into the fog at 6 a.m. when you wake up for school. And then in the background, on like a little track under that, you hear bum 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 bum. Shut up. And then you scroll down one video. How to make vegan sticky buns in 6 minutes. Hello? Like, that is not normal. It's like actually so not normal for your brain. Okay, listen. I can understand the feeling of nostalgia being something that you might like to visit. The problem is that when I think back on things that make me nostalgic, I'm never hit with the same intensity of like this sadness, like this hole in me, than I am when I watch those videos. And I think it's like the combination of having audio tracks that like take you back to it, of having visuals in front of you that like you're not just recalling in your head, you're seeing them in front of you, that remind you of like all those good times, or that remind you of like what it was like to be a kid. And they're like really specific things too, so it is like it's jogging your memory, but you're seeing it in front of you, you're not just like vaguely recalling it in your head. And then the music too, like on top of the dove sounds like is such a crazy combination. I genuinely, it doesn't, nostalgia is so much easier when you don't view it on a TikTok video that like rips your heart open. It's like so much easier to just think about those things in your head, be like, ah, yeah, God, that sucks, and that makes me sad, but it doesn't like rip a hole in my chest. And then to like scroll down and you see something that makes you giggle, or something that like makes you hopeful or happy, or you laugh at it, and it's like a 2-second gap that you get between those two emotions. That's not normal. That's like actually not normal. And I don't know if it actually does anything to your brain. Like, it probably doesn't. I don't know, maybe it does. I have no clue. Being routinely exposed to such intense emotions and at such a rapid rate where you're just scrolling through your For You page, and that might happen like 10 times or more. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Because then you just get emotionally wiped out, and then you can't deal with like normal problems in front of you and things that actually demand your attention that are important, because you just wore your brain out on TikTok watching a nostalgia slideshow. I don't know. That's just me. That's me. Number 4, and I don't really need to explain this one. Like, if you're on TikTok, you know, and if you have a heart, you know, the lack of comment moderation for hate speech. And one thing further, the lack of comment moderation for people just being dicks. There's like a really specific type of bullying on TikTok in the comment section that's like, it makes my soul so sad for humans, just like in general. Where, do I even have to explain this one? Like, if you're on TikTok, you know, like you see the comments. People are just like genuinely so mean And like they don't think through the fact that people are human, like on the other end, and they'll say like the most rude things to people, and it just like it just gets to me and I hate it. So yeah, that one's straightforward. Number 5, I was better at conversation at 16 than I am now. I literally feel like I'm mentally digressing. That's just, yeah. And I don't know what it is, but I just somehow know it's TikTok. And I don't know if that's just because like I honestly feel like that kind of plays into my attention span, because it's hard for me to like focus in. It could also be that like it makes me more anxious, and then that affects me in conversation. There's so many different things that I think it could be, but I just don't think it's good for my brain to like be on my phone all the time. Okay, number 6. After getting home from work and just wanting to turn my brain off, if I turn to TikTok to do that, the next morning I always like clockwork feel like shit. If I were to read a book before bed or watch a movie or journal, do literally anything except for TikTok, I feel so much better. The difference is night and day. It's crazy. And that's also, I feel like, pretty straightforward. I think it's just like, for me, like I want to respect myself enough to know that future me is going to wake up and feel like shit. So it's like, why am I doing that to myself? Why would you do that to yourself? You're going to feel like shit. Don't you want to feel good in the morning? Oh, you don't care about yourself? This is like my internal monologue, but you get the point. Like I want to be good to myself. Number 7, I so fucking desperately want the online sphere to go back to like 2012 or 2013. And I want to experience joy like how I did when I was a kid. The online sphere in like 2012 and 2013 was very focused on like, that was like the YouTube boom when like YouTubers started kind of becoming a thing. Was Vine out? I know Vine was out in 2014, so it was probably out in 2013. So I feel like Vine, right? Yeah. Right? Anyway, that and like Instagram was there, but like mainly I just mean people weren't online as much as they are now. And it just felt so much more like real life. I don't even know how to explain it. It makes me emotional to like think back on that time, and I'm not romanticizing it. Like I genuinely, something about it just felt more satisfying. And I think it's because I didn't have that short attention span yet. Like I could look forward to like a video that somebody was putting out or a show that was coming out like each week. I didn't have that instant access now, like with streaming platforms and with TikTok, where you just go on, it's there, anything you want. Like there was a sense of waiting still 10 years ago. Ew. And then that second part, the I want to experience joy like how I did when I was a kid. There's this thing that you learn in psychology when you're in school for it. So like the example that they used to teach us was, say you order a package and the package is something in it that you've been wanting for like a few weeks and you're really excited. And it's going to take 2 weeks to get to your house and it's shipping from somewhere far away. The most happiness that you will feel during that time will be from the waiting and not when you actually open it up. I may have explained that wrong, so just take that with a grain of salt. But when you think about it, it makes sense. It makes sense. And I want to go back to that feeling of having things to look forward to and like relying on that as a source of happiness rather than, not the reward per se, but like the thing at the end of the tunnel. I want to enjoy the tunnel. And when I get to the light, that's cool too. But the tunnel was the best. I will never feel the same way that I did when I was growing up and I had a field trip at the end of the week. Like it was Monday and the field trip was on Friday. Looking forward to that is like, I always return to that as an idea of like what I want joy to feel like. And there's so much joy in anticipation. And I miss that. And so much of the joy of anticipation has been taken away from us because everything is so, you want it, here it is. Streaming platform, you want that show? Here's 7 seasons of it. You don't have to wait every week for an episode anymore. You want funny videos? Here's endless streams of funny videos. Sure, you have to search for a bit until you find like your niche humor, but it's there. You just have to dig a little. You don't have to watch America's Funniest Home Videos anymore. You don't have to go on YouTube and like see one of like 25 funny videos that people have uploaded right at the beginning of YouTube. Like, everything is just there for you. And I think that is just not good. It's not good. And I miss the waiting. Hold on, I'm tearing up. I need to get my shit under control 1 second. Like, I don't know why it makes me emotional. I think it's just because, like, acknowledging that the world has changed so much is so scary. Because you know you're never actually gonna go back. Like, it's just gonna get worse. Number 8, I don't want to miss out on life anymore. Adventure! Exclamation point. This is literally just me, like, thinking about how there's so many, like, fun little things I want to do. Like, this is random, but like I love abandoned places and I love ghosts and I love aliens, and like knowing that I'm in bed scrolling on my phone while there's like so many cool places I could go and explore with like a friend, it hurts my soul. Like, to know that there's so much adventure to be had in life, and that adventure doesn't have to be outside. It can be inside. It can be playing a game, like literally anything. And instead I'm on TikTok watching stuff that I'm not going to remember in 2 weeks. Number 9, our last point. Depression already makes it hard to find energy to make things. Why am I taking away my time too? Having depression makes it so difficult to find the energy to go and do the things I want to do and do the things that I want to love. Whoa, that was not a sentence. Do the things that I love. So taking away my free time where I could be figuring out ways to make myself happy in small ways that either have to do with like what I'm passionate about, or they could just be stupid little things that make me happy. Wasting that away on TikTok actually like truly hurts me in the soul. And now lastly, the problem of resistance. Every time I think about these like bullet points in my head, which I think of a lot, and I think like a lot of people go through the same cycle of being like, oh, this isn't good for me, let me get rid of it, and then you come back, and then over and over and over and over again. I want to examine why it's so hard for me to like leave it when I have all this evidence in front of me that tells me that it's the right thing to do, and when I know in my bones it's the right thing to do. And so I just call it the problem of resistance. But for me, it's like, it's a confrontation with reality, because you no longer have that distraction to quiet your thoughts. And when you're left to sit alone with your reality, you come to like one of 2 conclusions. One is that you don't necessarily have any solutions for your problems right now, or for like some reality that you're in right now that isn't your favorite. Or 2, you have a very obvious solution to your problems and you just don't want to do it. Like, it might entail a lot of labor, like both ways in both of those options. You might have to put a lot of emotional labor into figuring out what to do and how to deal with your problems. You might have to put in a lot of emotional labor in that solution. And I think just like the concept for me being so depressed, like trying to harness that energy, like the idea of harnessing it or the harnessing itself, both are exhausting. So exhausting. And like, I don't have energy for that. I simply don't. And so avoiding it is just so much easier. And then I wrote down here, but sitting in the dark with all of your shit in labeled boxes isn't ever going to bring you any peace. So knowing what your problems are and just kind of sitting there around them is never going to do anything for you. You'll just be in that same room. They're never going to magically disappear unless you deal with them. I'm going to read a little entry really quick before we go of like what I said. Oh, I had one more bonus point. Number 10. It messed up my self-expression. Like, if you can see my room right now, there's not a lot on the walls. There's a reason for that. I just don't know who I am. And I don't know if that's like a product of seeing so many people around me who like seem to know who they are, even if they don't. Like, it just seems like they do. and having so many different like self-expressions out there to look into and be like, oh, is this me? Like, should I try this on? Like as an identity expression type thing. I don't know what it is, but it's messed with my identity. It's also like, I don't know. I just kind of feel like a ghost town, like inside. I don't know how to explain it. I used to be so much more confident in like the things that I liked and the things that I used like visually to express myself, whether that was like clothing or my room, whatever it is. It used to be all out, and now I'm just like, it's a little scary in here. Okay, I'm gonna read you my entry and then we're gonna say goodbye. Now, the thing at the end of all of this is the problem of resistance. I have a resistance to the idea of not being able to grab something that will quiet my thoughts. That sounds terrible to me, because then I have to sit with my reality. And when you sit with your reality, you have to confront that you don't necessarily have solutions for your problems right now. And that's scary. And even scarier is the idea of working on those problems. Because when you're depressed, the idea of working on long-term problems that require emotional labor and that require you to create a rhythm of showing up, that idea makes me want to hibernate. Like, I'm so tired just thinking about it. In another view of that same confrontation idea, sometimes there's a very obvious solution. And that's scary and exhausting too, because you can predict what that's going to look like for you. And it isn't pretty, or it's tiring. But sitting in the dark with all of your shit in labeled boxes isn't ever going to bring you any peace. So I'm getting rid of it. Bye-bye TikTok. And once again, if you see me on that app in 6 months, mind your business. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye. I'm so tired.